In this video, we're going to show you how to remove the rear drum bearing in your dryer. So to remove the part, we're going to need to, on this model, raise the top. To do that, first thing we do is take out our lint filter. On your model, the lint filter may be mounted down inside the front opening of the door, in which case you don't have to worry about it at this point. But for this one, we'll take it out of the way. And we also have 2 screws here that we need to remove in order to lift our top. They're just Phillips head screws. Some machines, they might have had a 1/4 inch or a 5/16 head, but for this one today, they're Phillips screws. So we'll take those screws out and we'll just set them aside for later. Now in this model, in order to lift the top, which we have to do in order to remove the front panel, we need to use a putty knife, just a thin bladed style putty knife. And there's latches on either corner. And so to find those, we're just going to insert our putty knife between the front panel and the top and just slide it back and forth. And that'll locate one latch, and the other side gives us this latch. So now that we know where they are, we're just going to take our putty knife, push it into place, apply a little bit of pressure, and we do the same thing on the other side, and that'll allow us to lift our top. Now, if your model is a style that doesn't have the console up above, your controls are in the front, then your top panel will come off just with a couple of screws at the back, and you'll be in the same spot that we are now. This model actually has the door switch connected to the front panel up here in the top corner. Other models may be over on the other side, or it might be very well in the middle. But in either case, wherever it's situated, there will be a wiring harness that connects it. So we'll want to undo that. This one is just simply has a tab that you just lift up with your finger, and then you can separate the two. Other models just has a block that you'll pull out of your switch, or there may be individual wires that slip onto separate terminals, but again, they'll just pull off. So now we're free and clear to take our front panel off. To do that, I'm just going to need a 5/16 nut driver. I'll just close my door. And up in the top front corners on both sides are the screws that I'll get at from this direction. So we'll just take this screw out. And we'll set it to one side. And then we'll take the one out of this side. So we just unbolt the screw. Now this is the last screw that's holding the front panel in this model of dryer. So I've kind of got my body up against the front so it can't just fall off. So now that I have the screws out of the front panel, I'm now able to remove the front completely. So I'm going to just move it out of the way, hold onto the front with my left hand. I'm just going to hold onto the drum here with my right, and then just pull the front off. So now that that's free, I'm just going to lift the front panel up off of its keepers. And there's one on each side. So I'm just going to hold that drum up a little bit as I rotate the front and take it away. So to release our belt, the easiest way to do it is just to come in with both hands. I'm just going to lift up, taking the tension off the belt by lifting up the idler pulley, and that will give me enough slack in my belt that I can slip it off the motor pulley. So I'm just going to use the belt as my carrying handle. It'll lift upwards, and use the belt to help bring the drum out of place. So with the drum removed, we can now see the rear bearings on this machine. Now this manufacturer uses this style of drum bearing. It also gets known as a drum roller. And depending on the make, it may have 2 drum rollers in the back. Some manufacturers actually use the same type of drum bearings for the front of their machines as well. But majority, they're in the back. There's typically 2, and you'll find them in different colors. Now it's important that when you, if you ever do have to replace them, You take notice when you remove them what the color is, because the replacement one should be the same color. There is a reason for it. It's to do with the strength and the material of the bearing, for noise, and for long life. So whatever the color is, that's what you want to put back on. So as you can see on this machine, the rollers are identical. So these drum bearings are the same. You can put one in either location, it doesn't matter. The only difference you're seeing between them is this one has this extra bracket. And this bracket is there to support the weight of this drum bearing, because most of the weight of the drum is actually sitting down in this end of the machine when the clothes are fully in it. So to take it apart, we're just going to take our 5/16, loosen this screw. Now along with this bracket, there's a little spring clip on here as well. And the easiest way to take that off is just to use that bracket to help you just wiggle it like that. And that allows you to pull that little clip off. So now that we have that bracket out of the way, we're just going to release this plastic clip. They call that a tri-ring, just because it's three-sided. It almost looks like for queuing up your pool balls. So just take a small blade screwdriver, put it in, and just ease it out of the lip that it's sitting into. So that drum bearing just slides off the shaft. Now that's on this style of dryer. There's other manufacturers that use something instead of these type of bearings. They'll actually have a bearing that's in the center of this bulkhead. So this would be like a more flat surface. Some of them even have their element mounted here, but right in the center, there's going to be a bearing, and there would be a shaft on your drum that would go into that. And if that's what you have instead of this style, then you would just remove the retaining screws that hold that bearing in order to take it apart and for replacement or lubrication or whatever. But that's how easy it is to remove your drum bearing.